In 2019, in Jersey City, New Jersey, David N. Anderson and Francine Graham shot and killed 3 people at a kosher grocery store in Jersey City, New Jersey. The shooters also wounded 1 customer and 2 police officers. The Jersey City Police Department detective was shot and killed by the assailants at a nearby cemetery just before the grocery store attack. David Anderson and Francine Graham, identified as Black Hebrew Israelites, which the Southern Poverty Law Center found that, quote, the extremist fringe of the Hebrew Israelite movement is black supremacist. It also wrote that the members of those groups, quote, believe that Jews are devilish imposters and openly condemn whites as evil personified, deserving only death or slavery, close quote. I hope that our hearing and the outcome of today will address all forms of domestic terrorism, no matter which ideology inspires that terrorism. An article from August 29, 2008, it's a report from the Southern Poverty Law Center about the Black Hebrew Israelites entitled Racist Black Hebrew Israelites Becoming More Militant, and also a 2019 SPLC article describing the New Jersey attack and the militancy of the Black Hebrew Israelites.
The origins of these groups is well known, and I wasn't surprised at all, sadly, that some were police officers and some were in the military, involved in white supremacist organizations that have terrorized this country and terrorized African Americans for a couple of 100 years. Capitol police officers, as you know, were called the N-word, and I think you said that in your opening statement. And what we have found over the years is that many times when there were white supremacists in the South and in other parts of our country that terrorized African Americans, sometimes they covered themselves in hoods, but oftentimes they were law enforcement. This is nothing new. And I very much want to see laws against domestic terrorism, but I will tell you that I'm concerned about if we pass laws against domestic terrorism, that those laws will be turned against the very communities that have been terrorized. So the COINTELPRO has been discussed, initiated by J. Edgar Hoover. Under this program, while the KKK was terrorizing people in the South, COINTELPRO and FBI targeted civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King, and it was commonly understood that the FBI abused its surveillance power in a manner to suppress a peaceful movement. Given this history, it's not a leap to recognize the need for scrutiny of FBI activities in Black and African American communities. Just recently, if anybody is confused about this, watch a new movie that just came out called Judas and the Black Messiah that talks about the assassination of a leader of the Black Panther Party. Regardless of what you think of the Panthers, I don't know that anyone deserves to be executed while they're asleep. There is a police officer that on his deathbed just the other day had a deathbed confession that as an African-American member of the New York Police Department, that he was involved and the NYPD was involved in the assassination of Malcolm X. So what my concern is that if we entertain legislation on domestic terrorism, How can we be sure that it will be targeted and not be used to groups that are not involved in terrorism? In August of 2017, the FBI intelligence assessment entitled Black Identity Extremists Likely Motivated to Target Law Enforcement Officers. And I asked over and over again, give me an example of a Black extremist organization. Tell me about one. And I know earlier in this hearing, an organization was mentioned that I think is ludicrous to be considered a terrorist organization, and that's the Black Hebrew Israelites. But Madam Chair, I want to ask the committee for something. I would like to have a classified briefing so that the FBI can come in and tell us about Black terrorists, Black extremist organizations, because I am not aware of one. Now, if you want to talk about 30 years ago, we can talk about 30 years ago. I want to talk about 2021. Tell me about Black terrorist organizations.
Of the chair. Using that group as an example, is that a group, because they are open, you know, I mean, you see them on street corners in different groups. They're not a secret group at all. Is that group part of the racially motivated extremism? The group. I understand the act that took place. I understand the individuals, and it's not clear their level of association. And it's not clear their level of association. And it's not clear their level of association.
What I would say to you on that is that we have some investigations into individuals who associate themselves with that movement.
Beyond those two people?
Yes.
Okay.
Reporting that these two suspects are linked to the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. We have evidence that both suspects expressed interest in this group, but we have not definitively established any formal links to that organization or to any other group. Based on the available evidence, we believe that the two shooters were acting on...
You got info on a Jersey City active shooter?
I heard something about 191 Bergen. We were waiting for additional, but we didn't copy what it was. 191 Bergen.
Supposedly the Jersey CPD got a man down at that location.
And officers down?
Yeah, can you try to find out?
All right. I'm going to create a job. What badge am I speaking with? So our supervisor was in contact with the Rock, and they have it as a shooting, not an active shooter. So we're getting contradictory info.
Actually, just give me a please.
12:45. Okay. There's a strong possibility that this incident is actually at two separate locations right now. As we get additional, I'll pass it on to you.
Actually.
They shot the cop, yo. They shot the cop.
Is the ability to regen really that far-fetched for humans?
Okay, this is unconfirmed information at this point. Unconfirmed. The U-Haul truck may be involved bearing Arizona registration Alpha Juliet 52333. Unconfirmed report, shots fired from that vehicle.
Black male, black female, all black received.
We just thought that it was important to keep the public abreast of the information as we get it. At the time of the incident yesterday, it was difficult to understand intent, and there's still a lot of questions around that.
Everyone, I'm Maurice Dubois.
And I'm Christine Johnson. We begin with that Jersey City shootout and word from the mayor that there is reason to believe the location attacked was targeted.
But after reviewing the CCTV cameras on the Jersey City side, we do feel comfortable that it was a targeted attack on the Jewish kosher deli across the street here.
Saw yesterday was a premeditated, violent, anti-Semitic hate crime. In other words, you can say it was an act of terror.
Okay. So they are about to film another scene. It's probably gonna be shooting and stuff.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Flash is off. Thanks.
They're about to do another scene.
All right, guys, go again. Let's go weapons on.
Here we go. It's
ready.
live. Quiet on the set. Quiet on the mother. Quiet on the set.
Coming out, y'all. No, I ain't recording. I was on FaceTime with my mom. Mommy, get home. Back.
He's okay? The rest of you guys gotta go. Come on. You live here? Yeah. I live here. The guy with the camera lives here? He lives here? I live here. I told him to get back. Yeah. You live here?
This is the clip of the so-called gunman man getting out the van. I mean, who does that? If you're gonna rob or go into establishment, who does that? Who just leaves the car door open like that, man? No lookout, man. No nothing. Just bad acting altogether. And look at that. There's a Jake right there. I don't know if he's a part of it or what, but there's a couple of Jakes right there next to the liquor store, just sitting out there watching the whole thing go down. I'm gonna play it from the top one more time. Look at that, Jake stayed. If that's a sincere Jake, who knows? Or if that Jake was a part of it, he wasn't scared at all, you know what I mean? And Jake just sat there doing the whole thing. I don't know if you sleep or what. You can't really see with the pole there. The crosswalk yellow pole right there in the face. But that's it, man.
At this point, we're on Wilkinson Avenue and Ocean Avenue. Give you a perspective of where we are. We're about a block away from where the shooting was going on, a block in that direction, and then to my left. That is where the shooting happened. When we first arrived, which was about 25 minutes ago, it literally sounded like a war zone. It was, to be quite honest, it was frightening to be driving into this area. And as we were driving, we saw police vehicles, unmarked vehicles, flashing lights, sirens going. It was just surreal, to be quite honest, almost like a scene out of a movie. Just surreal, to be quite honest, almost like a scene out of a movie.
It's surreal, to be quite honest, almost like a scene out of a movie.
When we first arrived.
We're not at liberty to disclose the names of any of the victims or the actors at this point. We're not at liberty to disclose the names of any of the victims or the actors at this point. We're not at liberty to disclose the names of any of the victims or the actors at this point. That's New Jersey law on how the investigation.
The Jersey City Department of Public Safety's Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security conducted a multidisciplinary active shooter exercise at the New Jersey City University School of Business located at the Mack-Cali Harborside Complex earlier today. The press were allowed to film inside as the drama unfolded, which seemed at some points like a real-life drama, as gunshots were fired and different police forces from Homeland Security and Jersey City Police Department rushed to the scene to try to apprehend the shooter alive or to shoot him outright. We interviewed Jersey City Public Safety Director James Shea before the onset of the active shooter exercise.
We've been doing this with our outside company here since 2015, and we've been steadily improving the capabilities of our units, and we've actually brought more units and more partners into it as we go and as we get better at it. Again, getting better is a relative term. We're never going to be satisfied with our response. We're going to continue trying to improve.
And Director Shea, it seems like this is just part of the standard steps that the city's taking given the reality of shootings across the country. But have there been, for example, any credible threats that you're taking seriously at this point? And is this why this is happening tonight?
Well, we're a huge part of the New York metropolitan area. We're a major city with a major financial district in our own right, and we have major universities, schools, what have proven to be attractive targets in other cities. We're very happy that we haven't had an event like that here, but we think we'd be neglecting the city if we didn't prepare for the possibility. So we're going to continue making sure that we have the capabilities to address any threat to our taxpayers that arises.
And my last question, Director Shea, at the conclusion of today's events, which happen, I guess, in a couple hours now, what will you be looking for as you assess today's activities? I mean, what will be most important for you in the features that you'll be reassessing?
That we recognize our mistakes and that we see where we can do better, and that then we will use our vendor to talk to us about steps we need to improve in training before we do this again in 3 or 4 months, and we see if we've incorporated the lessons learned from today and gotten better. And again, it's all about making sure that when we respond, we're doing the best we can, both for our officers and our first responders and for our citizens that are depending on us.
At the conclusion of today's active shooter exercise, we interviewed the vendor, Tomahawk Strategic Solutions President Michael Biller, to find out how well the city is prepared.
Their response time was phenomenal. I'm very impressed with all the multiple responding authorities that participated and how they conducted themselves and how they progressed. We've had the pleasure and honor to work in this city for the past 3 years, and where they started was great. Where they've come is phenomenal. I'm very confident in their abilities and what they're doing, and they're actually doing some very advanced concepts, running rescue task force, and they've really refined that today. And for all those that don't know what rescue task force, it's integrating medics, just as though we used to do in our previous careers, to ensure that while we have a response to interdict a shooter or something of those means, we also have a medic or somebody who's trained to start treating victims.
Mark Busant reporting in Jersey City for Hudson County View, the eye of the community.